Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Midnight Express, the Nickatina crossover. You know what? I didn't even change the background. What a lousy host and guest person I am. I still have my normal Midnight Express one down, and, that's disrespectful to Andre, who's about to come on here. But, yeah, happy Saturday, 12:03 a.m., Midnight Express crossover edition. Every Friday, Saturday morning, we're going to be doing this. We have several things to talk about today, so we're going to bring in the other two real quick. But real quick, you guys, if you haven't already, we're doing a charity event as far as for American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and we also are we're going to be doing a special screening both at the Sci-Fi Center and on. We're going to be doing a YouTube watch party, and we're going to be doing a YouTube show and everything on the 22nd. But right now, we are just over halfway there. So even if you cannot afford to donate right now, times are tough. I understand. I know. Trust me. Even sharing the event, putting it everywhere, tagging people that you think might be able to help, every bit helps. I mean, $5 helps. I mean, we've had donations anywhere from $5, $10, all the way up to $500. It all helps. It's all going to a good place. It's all going straight. This charity, this link is set up through AFSP's website, so the money is going directly to them for the research and everything else. There is no such thing as a disease that has not been made better by money donated to research. Cancer's still killing a lot of people today. I think we've all been touched by it. But if you go from 20, 30 years ago, there's been 30 years of research that adds new leases on life. HIV, when I was a kid, you got HIV, it was a death sentence. Now, because of the research and the fundraising, you can live an indeterminate amount of time, just like anybody else, with the research being done. Mental illness, mental welfare, these are diseases that can have the same benefit from fundraisers like this. So if you can donate, but if you can't donate, it takes a couple seconds to share the link and put it in the laps of somebody or some people who may be able to. So please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. We have a big weekend this week. I have both Monarch later on today. We're going to catch up on Monarch on the Patreon streams, and we're going to do the Doctor Who. We have to catch up on that one, and we'll do the 60th. So keep an eye on the community pages. Keep an eye on all the social media. And if you're a Patreon, keep an eye there too, because you guys will be actually co-hosting that with me. All right. And without further ado, let me bring in these special guests for this, our usual Friday thing. And
what's up?
Here's Andre, and we'll bring in Bradley Scargiver there.
Yes,
Scargiver.
The nickname I've taken on. I'm so eager to see how Cora gets that name, because we're seeing some early reactions to Rebel Moon now, and they're very positive.
Probably cut some fool up. That's my guess.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's easy to infer what that's all about, but I just want to see it in action.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, so far, everything we've seen from Rebel Moon, when it comes to just, trailers, the images, everything has been spectacular. So the only thing that can stop it now is if the storytelling isn't very good. But we don't know yet because we haven't seen it yet. But nothing has led us to believe that, at least none of the reviews that have been out there have said that the storytelling is bad. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good.
I think we're in a safe spot because it's basically in the best ways possible. It's the blueprint's already been there. It's Seven Samurai. It's basically the blueprint that has been tried,
right,
tested, and it works in so many different. And this is the first time I've seen it on this type of genre. And every genre where this framework has been put to test, it's been successful. So I think the basic mechanics of the storyline are already there for us. Like I said, when it comes to the particular person in charge of telling the story, he is yet to tell me a story that didn't entertain me.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if I have disagreements with some aspects of certain stories, I have been entertained by those stories. So I'm thinking he's gonna. I feel safe. I feel safe as far as having a good time with this so far.
100%, yeah. And we've a number of YouTubers I follow. I don't know if you guys are familiar with our movie news. He was able to go to the UK premiere. I think it was yesterday, and he just put out his review for it. He was very positive about it, so that was good. So yeah, of course we had the say again?
Nana was there from the Nerd Queens.
Oh yeah, I saw her and McD and somebody else. I forget who's the third guy, but yeah, they were posting from it. So yeah, people within like the fandom community are starting to get some early look at it. They also put out the official Twitter handle. They put out some, as far as like theater runs, like more shonen. None of them where I live.
Oh yeah, same here. None of them in Vegas.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's one in Los Angeles that William could have commuted to, but no, I mean,
here's how that works. I'm in the middle of the holidays and I run a retail location. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
I'm
in no position to travel to LA. That would be the end of me if I did that.
I had no business going to Comic-Con for 4 days, but man, was that fun.
Yeah.
Glad I did, because I really had a lot of fun at Comic-Con. I came back a changed man, and like I said, I don't think it's going to be the same this year because you're going to have Hollywood back, and then the Hall H stuff is going to make everything. I'll still be able to get in, no problem, because of the way I got in last time. It's the same way, but it's going to the congestion and the focus this last year was so much on the hardcore pop culture, comic books, Funkos, cosplay. You didn't have the spectacle that, in my opinion, you don't need anymore. I think with the advent of YouTube, with the advent of streaming and everything else, you can get everybody hyped up for your movie in an instant with a trailer on TV.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
Not only that, but we also, I don't know if either of you guys saw, we got our first actually clip released, our first from Rebel Moon today. I don't know if either of you had seen that yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and bring it up. Yeah, there was it has quite a bit of the cast. It has, of course, none other than Darkseid himself is in it. Mr. Ray
By the way, guys.
Oh, you know what?
I'm like, is he gonna go? Well, you see him jumping on it to fly him on one of the trailers. So
okay, and now I'm seeing some of these comments. Did anybody die that I should know about? Or are you guys?
They took the stream down.
Yeah.
It says stream unavailable, so it's just us talking right now.
Crap. Oh, for God.
It'll come back on in a second. And then afterwards, you can just
contest the
part out.
Yeah. Okay, I was hoping.
It says stream unavailable. Netflix is really bad about that, and they really should change that whole policy that they have. But Marvel, like Disney, is the only one that allows you to show their shit, and they don't care because they get it. They're like, yeah, go ahead and promote our stuff. It's fine.
And it's on Twitter, and they gave it to guide you in, so it's not like it's not available. Which is dumb. Hold on, let me see if we're back up yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, I was hoping that I saw the RIP. I was thinking, did Zach die or something? We're back up.
No, don't say shit like that, dude. Come on. Yeah, we're back up.
Okay, so I guess
no surprise.
I guess indeed you can't. That you can't go. Oh no, Ghostly's on my side. Thank you.
Well, is it you? It's a connection between YouTube and Netflix that just hasn't been solidified because we had this problem before.
Not my fault. Of course.
We had this problem with they told us, we got emails saying we want you to promote this stuff. We got emails from our people who handle our movie stuff, saying promote to them. We want you to stream. And I specifically asked them, can I play it? Because we're going to be covering the show. It said yes. Netflix said yes. And we did it that night, and I got taken down, and I had to re-up. Like right now, when the stream is done, they're going to take the stream down, and I'm going to have to fight the whatever, and then I'll win. But it took like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then like by that time with the Tadum one, I had already split up the stream and just cut that out and then put it back on because I was pretty happy with that stream. That really pissed me off.
Thank you.
But now we're back up. We're back up. But yeah, I pretty much figured that might happen. Yeah. But if this was a Saturday,
what's the point?
It's an automatic algorithm that doesn't. Yeah, it's an automatic algorithm. It's not a human saying, "Oh, fuck you guys." Yeah, okay. It's an automatic algorithm that
I don't. Otherwise, I don't see the point of like putting out these early clips, pre-release to build up excitement for the movie. If you don't want people circulating them around to say, "Hey, this new sci-fi space operas from the dude who did 300 Man of Steel is coming up. Get ready for it."
Yeah, and I think it's a YouTube thing, and they have an automatic thing because with Tadum, as soon as I protested it, it was as soon as it got to them, they restored the stream. So it's an automatic thing. Come on.
Thank you, Droga.
It's an automatic thing that they're just detecting it on, and it's a YouTube thing. So I think we'll be fine. But that's same time. But how far did it go before it cut us off?
Sure.
I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I think we got maybe because that's like a 3-minute clip, so I think we got maybe a minute into it. So
yeah, I think it was halfway through, but overall though, I thought the clip was really cool. I love seeing the Bennu, but it looks like it reminds me of something out of Harry Potter, but overall though, it looks amazing. And what's his name? The actor who plays Tarek.
Yeah, I'll go and pull him up here. Yeah, I guess I have to change that. I guess I have to change that as my name there.
Yeah, I think it's Stasnar is his name. He was ripped. He was in amazing shape.
That's hilarious, Brett. That's 2 now. No, I'm just kidding. But neither one of them are really your fault. It's just dumb. But I understand. I mean, I guess if we've been talking over it or pause it.
It's Stasnar.
Yeah, Stasnar. But I mean, he was in incredible shape. And everything about the clip itself, like in terms of the characters and the backgrounds and the environment, I thought looked really, really good. And it was very compelling as well. I really can't wait to see this movie. It's going to be really awesome.
Yes, I can't wait either. We're now at that stage where I'm going back to my real name here. Okay, I'll only put that up for a couple of but yeah, it's good. It's
William, what is that? What are you drinking?
Yeah, you're always drinking like out of the pitcher or out of the.
Yeah, I have to drink a lot of fluids. It's water. It's basically water with vitamin.
I thought it was like some kind of some kind of Mexican juice that you buy at like the Mexican Marts or something,
Oh, I used to drink that. I used to buy those in orange flavor, and it was just too much sugar. So this is sugar free.
But see, Brad. Now we know that if we ever go to William's house, don't drink anything in his fridge because he probably drinks right out of the container.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I'll drink. As I said, I started drinking this about 15 minutes ago, and it was full.
Damn!
Wow.
But, and plus, when I have allergy meds in me, I need to keep hydrated. So.
Yeah, you do. Like that stuff just dries you out. It's terrible.
So we're I mean, most likely the stream will get completely taken down, and I'll have to go ahead and fix it. But I don't care. We got it's just it is what it is.
Aaron says think of strength testing for when you do the live stream, William.
Well, no, okay, that I'm going to completely avoid it because YouTube has the YouTube function on there that has the party on there. So I'm not going to violate anything with that one. That one's going to be through YouTube. So unfortunately, for the people who are in the store, we're not going to be broadcasting like that, but we'll be in the YouTube. So when we're showing it on our screen at the store for the handful of people that I got there, and the one that we would watch, on the YouTube party, which is completely legal because it's within YouTube, then there's not going to be any copyright anything because we're using YouTube and we're using their thing. Because I did that during the pandemic when we couldn't go out to movies. I would do YouTube parties all the time because everybody during the pandemic had YouTube. And even if you use trial, so we were watching Blade Runner, we were watching everything under the sun. We were watching Star Trek episodes. So I know that we can do that without getting tripped up. Then, and plus, I've asked. I sent emails to Netflix to let them know what we're doing for them to send us certain links that we can use that will not trip up YouTube's algorithm. So we're working on it. But like I said, for this little stream tonight, this is our little get together. For that, we're going to be a lot more careful. But it's no big deal.
Yeah. Yes, Aaron, I do want to push you of the. I think they're probably going to get. I mean, they're starting. Scott McClellan kind of started cheering on Twitter and Vero. The Walmart started rolling out a lot of the merchandising, and already looks really, really awesome merchandising they're putting out for it. They're getting action figures out. They're getting some like different kinds of weaponry that are in it. They got what is it? What's that one thing they have? It's the spaceship that it opens up and you can put popcorn into it. That's really clever. I want to get one of those.
Oh yeah.
Is that at Walmart?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna grab some of that stuff and I'm gonna have it sitting around us when we because basically what's gonna be set up. It's gonna be set up like a Tonight Show or something like that. to where I'll have a couple people there, and then I'll have my desk area, and then I'll have the one camera that is going to be aiming behind me so that we can see the panel on the screen, and then the other camera will be aiming towards a couple of people that we'll have in there, because I want to, so that way you guys can talk to them as well. But I want to have the toys and some posters and stuff set up, so you'll definitely know what the occasion is that night. So
yeah, and as William said at the beginning of the stream, we definitely want to, we're just past the halfway mark on the FSP drive. We would definitely love to clear that, before we actually get to December, December 22nd. So if you can, please consider donating, and but otherwise, even just sharing it, just getting the word on it is very helpful. It's like I've got a number of people I've spoken to who are either going to be contributing in the coming days, or going to be sharing it out on social media. So that's definitely going to be very helpful. I think we'll be seeing happen in the next couple days here.
And I'm going to try to get on certain, some shows, some streams. I'm working out. ACS, Anthony's going to be on with us that day. So I'm going to try to get on his show. I'm going to, like I said, we're still working it out with Film Junkies if I can get on there, just basically to get the link out there to as many people as possible, and explain it. And we're still working with the people from the actual organizations themselves. So a lot of those people are going to be out of town because it's going to be the second biggest travel day of the year, because it is the Friday before Christmas. So it's gonna be tough to get resources as far as people goes, but it is. There is no such thing as failure here. I mean, granted, it would suck not to get $5,000, but I guess what? Right now, if I stopped at 2510, it goes to them. Somebody's that money.
Yeah, I mean, look, the goal is $5,000, and I think you'll be able to hit your goal. But even if you don't, the fact that you got $2,500 going to AFSP, that's amazing, and that's just like an achievement in itself. So
and first kind of event of this,
yourself.
And the first kind of event of this nature really done here, and of course that's in no small part the awareness of it and the push for it we owe to the big guy himself. From that tweet and post he put out.
Tweeted out. I mean that's huge.
That's where the bulk of our awareness came from, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, otherwise we were going to be doing it. I was fully prepared to do the guerrilla advertising about it, as far as being able to jump in everybody's DMs and say, hey, can you share this link, and like that. And why I was literally doing that. Like I said, I was literally sending
so was I.
link while Zack Snyder was doing that. And when he told me Zach's in, I'm like, well, no, I sent some, stuff to his people, but, I haven't heard back from the other two, and one of them rejected me in 2 minutes, kindly rejected me because he'd already been booked up. And he said, no, he just retweeted it. And that's how I found out that he retweeted it. And then we saw the numbers jump, and it's up there. So.
Go ahead. Yeah. And I mean, that day, right when that happened, when he shared it, I mean, within seconds of it, it's RJ, Wonder Meg, and Alex Lobo, just within seconds of each other, I got DMs from all of them saying, hey, dude, Zach just posted it. So that was a really great. It reminded me of I think a story I've shared previously where back in January 2020, I did an article on Screen Rant. Yes, I was about to pull up Thade's comment there too, that he's our good friend Thade is joining us tonight. So wish you Thade all the best. But yeah, back in January 2020, I had done an article on Screen Rant about all the AFSP donations the fandom had done to that point, which I think, if memory serves, we got into 150,000 or something along those lines by that point, which of course we've gone way past that now. But that was, of course, still quite an accomplishment at that point. I wrote the article and it went live. I think that was a Wednesday, and then the next day, I run over to Target to, I was just running some errands that night. And my phone just starts going crazy all of a sudden. And I thought at the time what happened was I thought he had posted something, another image on Vero from the movie behind the scenes, and the internet was going to react as it does, or as it every time he Zach does his thing. And then I looked down, and I mean everybody was tagging me and saying, oh, hey Brad, he shared your article about that. So that was very uplifting for that to happen. And again, very similar, very much the same feeling when he did the same here for this event.
Well, it's significant for me because, like I said, on the level of people that can push out this type of information to this particular fandom, I'm underneath the doormat. So for him to be able to give us that leg up, that was kind of cool. Like I said, it did a lot of the heavy lifting that I was very prepared to do, and I'm still going to do, because, like I said, we still have a ways to go. But it was cool. It's cool to have people like that to be able to push it. It's his movie. It's a cause that's dear to him. So for him to retweet that really helped a lot. So I was very grateful for that. So that was cool. And like I said, I hope
How's it going, Ruth?
good morning. I'm hoping we can not only, because like I said, it's an open-ended campaign. Even once the 22nd happens, the fundraiser allows for itself to be left open. So we can go even further than that. So but this is just the beginning of it. So
yeah, did Brad get this the stream strokes for doing Australian accents? I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I couldn't tell you, mate.
No one who's not watching now is ever going to see streams, so we're good. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, by the way, this is William Ray. That's good to hear. We sound better because this week has been not fun to be me.
Like I said, I'm still dealing with a cough, but like I said, we're feeling better on the stream. That's not going to air, so I'm glad we got our shit straight just in time. No, I don't air. I'll just have to go play around with it again. But like I said, that YouTube, and I've emailed them about that stuff too, because I get permission from studios to use certain clips, and they've got me on that, and I've had to add them to an email chain. Like for Dune, they took me off the air. They took down when we were promoting Dune. This was when we were actually full blown. And Kong Godzilla, same thing. We were given a trailer ahead of time to play, and YouTube got us in, and we had to hook them into a email chain with the people who we were working with from Warner's, who gave us the permission and for them to take everything down, because I think they actually gave us a strike. I don't think it was an actual warning. They actually gave us it wasn't a claim. I actually think we got a strike, and we had to, and I'm like, oh, hell no. Because they were Warner Brothers at that time, they were like, we will give you anything you want. And if you go back to March of 2021, March of 2021 is when we did the Godzilla versus Kong promotion. The amount of stuff that Warner Brothers laid on us to give away was massive. I mean, we had at least 50 Team Kong shirts, 50 Team Godzilla shirts. We had styrofoam 36 by 28 posters. We had like 300 posters to give away. We had paw prints and lizard prints. We had everything they did. Hats. We had hats. We had little Kong dolls. Godzilla. I mean, they were all in on the promotion of that movie. And one of the main things that we'll give you anything you need, but because the way the promo was set up was we opened up with Kong Skull Island and then had a break, and we gave out all the contest stuff, and then we had King of the Monsters. And they said, not only you must show the trailer. That's our condition. You must show the trailer for it. And they made me film the trailer out on our drive-in screen, because it was a drive-in.
Oh,
they made us film that trailer, and they made us send it to them right then and there. And I had a person in there that had to see it. I remember that because my other reps, the people who usually let you into the movies, they were there on site since we're not in the theater. So they had them sending it too. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Well, they want us to send the trailer. I'm like, they told me to send it. They don't trust me. And like, oh, they have us all doing it. So like from 5 different angles. So we had, and then like I said, on our later on, when I put it on my, I think it's my channel, YouTube somewhere, YouTube came down on me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, what? And then I had them do it. So yeah, it'll probably be the same thing with Netflix, and just letting them know, hey, we're doing a charity, but and we may end up in promoting Rebel Moon too. I don't know. We didn't find out we were promoting Army of the Dead until literally 4 days before Army of the Dead hit Netflix, and we got all those patches and stuff. In fact, one of those patches, I'm going to be giving away some of those patches on the 22nd.
Awesome.
And some of the Army of the Dead posters that we got for promotion.
That's awesome.
So we got that going on. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So, all right, guys, I'm like I said, you guys take over. I'm a passenger today.
Well, before we do real quick, because it is interesting. One thing I did want to mention relating to going back to the Rebel Moon clip, which of course that had Ray Porter in it, and we've heard, obviously we've in the lead up to this, we've had some talk about the connection to Army of the Dead, and we've had some new info about Twilight of the Gods and Army of the Dead Las Vegas in terms of them kind of being a little bit more put on the back burner. But one thing I do find kind of interesting, and I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, William, is because there's been tons of speculation and theorizing about how they might be connected. But looking at the IMDb and the Wikipedia page for it, Ray Porter he also has a voice role in Army of the Dead Las Vegas. So that does make me wonder, his character is he somehow like a conduit between the two universes and how they kind of interact.
I'm gonna say I doubt it. I just think he's a high voice. He's in demand as a voice actor, so I think he'll probably play.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I think Zach just wants him a part of all of his current projects.
Yeah, he's got a crew of people around him that'll brought him to the finish line, and I'm 100% okay with the director picking people he wants to work with, because like I said, there's a lot on the line. There's legacies on the line, and it's like when you go into anything, you want the people around you that you won with before. So
right,
exactly. I think reporters, any deep voice type of raspy voice kind of guy you need, it's going to be Ray Porter.
On top of that. I was gonna say on top of that, I mean, look, he had cast him to voice Darkseid. That would have been a huge role for Ray Porter in the 3 Justice League movies that were going to be made, and so I think he feels a little bit more obligated. Like, hey, look, I want to make sure that you're a part of this franchise because, he had opportunity to voice a pretty significant character within the DC universe, and same with Ray Fisher as well. Ray Fisher was going to be Cyborg, was going to have his own movie at one point, and now it's that's all pretty much gone. So that's why he's like, hey, I'd love for you to be Darian Bloodaxe, and hopefully that it turns into a much bigger role for him as well.
Yeah, same here.
One also when you talking about him being in, Ray, of course, he, outside of doing film work and TV work, he does a lot of audio book narration. And what you had said about him being in high demand in terms as a voice actor, that's just kind of a natural byproduct, I would think, coming off of finally seeing his performance as Darkseid.
Yeah, he did Sandman audiobook, which was really good.
Yeah. But really curious to see. We don't even have a name for his character in Rebel Moon at the moment, though. So that's I'm just kind of referring to him as like Space Rancher, Gus or something right now. But
he's like Watto from
exactly. So and he looks like he might be a little bit of a. I'm trying to think, like, to make the Star Wars comparison, like who would he parallel the most? Would he say again?
An asshole Uncle Ben, maybe?
Yeah, I've seen
Ben, who's like
one, especially with that kind of desert setting there, because I think I did read during the production timeline, Zach apparently did film a lot of Rebel Moon in the Mojave Desert in the parts of California where Lucas did a lot of the Tatooine scenes, when they were in A New Hope. So, but yeah. Say again?
San Bernardino County.
Yeah.
Well, the Mojave Desert. I'm in the Mojave Desert. Like now, Vegas is the other side of it. But San Bernardino County.
How big is the Mojave Desert? Like all told,
it's super large. It basically encompasses all of San Bernardino County. I'm pretty sure all of Clark County, Southern Nevada. It's massive. It crosses the state. Yeah,
because I lived in Arizona for a few years when I was a kid. My family was stationed there. Literally, we're like 50 miles north of Mexico, so we were in a kind of a bit of a desert setting too. Is that all? Like, how close is that in relation to the Mojave Desert?
All right, so the Mojave Desert is mountains and traverse ranges. The Mojave Desert together with the it's pretty. It basically forms the larger North American desert, and like I said, I would bring up a map, but I don't want to go too much into it. But it pretty much encompasses a lot of Southern California and a lot of Southern Nevada along there's like a ridge of line. It's pretty big. So hold on, I'll bring this up. But
well, in the meantime, I'm also gonna bring this comment up because this feeds into the thing you said you're gonna be the passenger on. Which of course this is as we said, like DCU stuff for the time being is a banned topic, not because we're actively hostile towards it, but because it's just so far off and there's so much still unknown about it that it's the so we would have been so we would have been outside of it because we were at Fort Huachuca. That was the base we were stationed at when I was
that's the Army Center, by the way.
Second,
That's where you go for. That's Army Communication, one of the Army Communication centers.
Yeah. I mean, we took a few trips when I was living there when I was a kid to Nogales. That tells you like how close we were, to the Mexican border. But yeah, I realized we're really actually pretty far removed from the Mojave Desert because Arizona, itself is pretty much a desert setting.
Arizona is from almost entirely desert, but if you look at California, that part of California, if you leave LA, as soon as you start driving out of LA, 45 minutes, you hit the Mojave Desert, and you stay in it till you're all the way past Clark County into Vegas. So you could, when I was living in San Bernardino, you could literally go from Vegas to San Bernardino and never leave the Mojave Desert. That's how big it is. And it's hot as fuck up here too. So
I would imagine.
So not nice geography lesson here tonight on the Sci-Fi Center and Nickatina show crossover. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, it's not a matter of us being actively hostile towards the DCU or any DC Studios plans, but it's just a matter of as of right now, it's so far off and so much is still unknown and still theoretical about it. Was like we just don't want to expend a huge amount of energy on something that really, at this point in time, would just be largely speculation. That being.
Way, I just don't care. I have nothing. I am on that cliff waiting for some magician to come and bridge that little, to make a little bridge out of something that I can either jump on or across. Right now, I'm too far away. But with Sean Gunn being cast, it's the first guy I actually know who it is.
And for anybody who hadn't seen, the report is. It didn't say. I think it said it didn't say he's going to be Maxwell Lord in Superman. He's going to be Maxwell Lord in the DCU. So it wasn't really.
He's going to be a background character in Superman Legacy. So there might be a reference or a poster or something that references Maxwell Lord, and we know that Sean Gunn is going to be playing, or at least representing Maxwell Lord, in James Gunn's DC universe. But we talked about this earlier when it comes to Zack Snyder, that he's going to bring people in, he's going to work with people that he's comfortable with and that he wants to be around. So I think it was only a matter of time before he found a role for Sean Gunn. But here's the thing: is that a lot of fans are complaining now because they're saying, "Well, wait a minute, hold on. James Gunn said that people wouldn't play, actors wouldn't play multiple roles."
And he's played, and they're signing. He's played Weasel, and he's played. Who else has he played?
We may never see Weasel again. I mean, if we do,
he's going to be Creature Commandos.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Okay, but here's the thing: it's not court. It's not a perjury case. If
it's not.
At one time he said something, and he was like, I don't think I'm going to do this now. And then 3 months later, he changes his mind. That's allowed. I don't do what the business. Do what your creative business says do. Don't be holding people back. Well, 6 months ago, you said you would never do that. You know what? The situation changed, and I'm more comfortable with doing it now. So just do it,
And that's my thing is that, look, this is not politics. This is just filmmaking. And so people were like, well, he said this earlier. He's a liar. It's kind of like, okay, so what does that accomplish? You know what I mean? Like, calling him a liar. Yeah, is he going to go to jail? Are you going to put him on trial? No. And so I think the whole thing is very sophomoric. I'm sharing my screen right now with you guys because he answered a question in regards to, this topic. I don't know if you guys want to pull that up. This guy says, James Gunn, does that mean that DCU actors can play more than one role like Nathan and Sean? He says, voice roles, yes. On-screen roles, generally no. And people would say, well, you said. It's kind of like, hey, look, dude. It's like you can't take everything that someone says seriously. You know what I mean? Like, to a T. And so I just think the whole thing is just ridiculous.
I
do agree to call him out.
I do agree with everything you guys are saying here as far as it's not a matter of him being under oath when he says any of these things on social media or gives any kind of cryptic or not fully contextualized look into his screenwriting or production process for movies that we haven't even seen yet, obviously. But one thing I would add to that I do think probably again adds some context to this is that this isn't the fault of James Gunn, but I think the pushback that he's getting on this of what you're saying, like, well, you said this and are you lying to us and all that. I do think that's a natural byproduct of the last 7 years or so, wherever we're starting the counting from of Warner Brothers. I mean, just outright lying to the fan base and to really to the world at large about what's going on behind the scenes.
And not only that too, but like when you're vocal and you're out there interacting with the fans and debunking rumors and doing all this, this is a natural occurrence that's going to happen. So, look, I love that James Gunn is, very, interactive with the fans, answering questions, debunking things. That's great. But of course, the more interactive you are, to an extent, people are going to try and call you out when things don't line up, especially when you're talking about the DC universe, which is so fractured right now, because you got you got a group who thinks that Zack Snyder is going to come back and Netflix is going to license out the Snyderverse, which is not even what they were talking about. But look, like William said, if that's what you want to cheer for and that's your fan base, then hey, so be it, right? But you got an article out there from what's it called, the Magic Insider or whatever, that covers a lot of Disney shit, saying how Netflix wants to license out the Snyderverse, and then they play, or then they show the quote from Scott Stuber. It's kind of like, wait a minute, hold on a second, you're taking that completely out of context. That's not even what he was saying. That's not what he meant. But yet they're gonna kind of play it that way because it fits their narrative to help get them more clicks and views for their article. So I just think there's a lot of bullshit out there, and you got to be smart about how you sift through all the bullshit.
And he
by
needs
the way,
time.
I just want to interject real quick before you guys reach your point. I'm seeing on Twitter right now, they're the same clip from Rebel Moon I just played. There's one that has the Netflix watermark on it that I probably could have gotten us. I probably could have played that without getting us taken down momentarily with that. So if I'd only known about that, because Netflix, like you said, it's like if you're playing it, the trailer or whatever, like actually from their main channel, or the studio, wherever it is, they tend to let that go.
Yeah, it's usually just the one that they promote. But like I said, it's it is what it is. But when it comes to James Gunn, I think the thing that he should come out, and anybody who's dealing with the public should always say, listen, here's where I'm at right now, but I reserve the right to change my position based on changing circumstances and changing information. If I like I told you guys before, I told you I'm never moving to the Midwest. I don't like the snow. I'm not going to Kansas. I don't want to shovel myself out to have to go get something to eat. I don't like that. I don't like animals. I don't like the wilderness. I won't be in the mountains. I'm a city folk boy. Right now, today, 12:44, I'm telling you, I will never do that. But at 12:50, if Nickatina comes to me with that suitcase of money and said, here's $2 million in cash, and you get some bonuses, and we're going to pay for your food, and we're going to pay for your Starbucks and your housing and everything else. You're going to have everything you need to do this job that we want you. Guess what? I'm moving to Kansas. But am I lying? No. But the set of circumstances that Nickatina laid on the table 6 minutes later were not there prior. So everybody has the right to evolve with the situation.
Well, and you've said that, with as far as like statements, about like whether Ben Affleck or Zack Snyder would theoretically return for further DC stuff, and you've used that analogy. So
everybody's always saying, "Oh, Ben says he moved on." First of all, nobody speaks for these guys except for them. And any of these situations really, and what I would like for anybody who thinks that this can continue or do anything, basically do not paint yourself into a corner. I've seen people make fools out of themselves, but this will never happen. This will never happen. You got the delusion. This will never happen. Money talks, bullshit walks. All right. So no matter, I don't care how many hashtags to sell Netflix or whatever. That's not a never can happen. Anybody who says that can never happen, like I said, I don't like it. We already brought up the talking to the dog thing. What you need to do though, if you ever want something like that to happen, what I've always said, you need to talk to people in the language that you want. If you want something, talk to them in the language that matters.
But I mean, if you got James Gunn starting his new DC universe, are they really going to license out?
Yes, because they do not give a fuck about James Gunn in that respect. You know who he gives more money about? Money.
Right, but then you're willing to cause competition between your own brands.
I'm the one making all the money. Yeah. If
the money is there, I just don't see him doing it.
Yeah, but you're thinking you can't. You got to think about somebody who's in charge of a lot of money, and that's in charge of making up money, and that's in charge of talking to stockholders who are not fans.
Right, but the thing is that like you had multiple opportunities to do that, especially when Zack Snyder Justice League came out. You had an opportunity just to ride that wave, and
Zaslav does. Zaslav wasn't in charge of that.
Yeah, they didn't ride that. They didn't ride that wave because we had people who were not capable of surfing at the time running the company.
The competition thing is bullshit. I'm sorry. That's as somebody who runs a business, whoever gets the money at the top wins. All right. So I'm not saying it would happen, but you got to understand that David Zaslav and his shareholders are not thinking like us. They're not the type of things that you guys say would think that anything that ever happened is not even on their menu.
I mean, is it possible that it could happen? Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying. That's all I'm saying. Is that anybody?
It is possible. I just don't see it becoming a reality. Now, look, if there was a way that Zach can continue his story, I'd be all for it. Believe me, like especially if it was announced, yes, I'd be all for it. But I just don't see it happening the way that people are trying to make it happen.
That I agree with that, and that's what I mean. But no one either. There are no absolute in this situation.
No,
but I think is a perfect thing. I don't see it happening either.
I don't see it happening at all. But that's the thing is that it's always them against us. It's always you're either with us or against us, and I think that mentality is very idiotic to take on towards everyone. Like, oh, if you don't support us, then you're against us. It's kind of like, dude, no, I'm not going to do that. And in the same time, it's like, look, I've been a huge Zack Snyder supporter. I've been a huge supporter of the whole Snyderverse fandom. But as of late, I mean, when it comes to even the article that was put out by THR, I didn't even make a video about it because you know what? Every time you get involved with that topic, there's just so much drama. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let that ride, and I'm not even gonna get involved with that because there's just so much negativity involved with that fandom these days, and it's just sad. It's sad that where it's gone.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why we've had to declare the general future. Until we see, until we're like a trailer stage, basically, declare like a banned topic, and but again, it's like I think that also it's like you could just trace so much of that back to the bad decision making of the previous regime. It's like really, this is
absolutely. I mean, when you had Zack Snyder Justice League coming out, that was your golden opportunity to essentially just reset your universe based on this movie, and then just like if they would have found a way to be like, hey, look, we really want to follow this. Let's get it in theaters. Let's do this and that. They could have made a huge.
They're gone. They're gone.
Yeah,
they were talking about. They got chased.
They're all gone. They're all gone.
And by the way, because I was just before you get to Archie's question here, real quick, I just wanted to mention because I was on the Four Nerds a couple nights ago, and one point I made also is that Netflix, I think we really see now with the marketing they've done, not just Rebel Moon, but Army of the Dead, like everything they've done with Zack so far. They really are. I mean, they have all but directly said to Warner Brothers, "Hey, you don't want him, you want his fans, we'll take him, and not only will we take him, we're going to take them in a way that capitalizes on the lightning in a bottle that he got with that movie being released in every way that you did." And we're seeing that with like when Army of the Dead came out, Netflix, their official Twitter put out a tweet saying, hey, the movie's out now, and before anybody asks, yes, this is the Snyder cut. And
all right, listen for it. You're free to host a YouTube show, man. It's up to you. We're going to talk about it in the context of our conversation. Now, for the most part, it's banned, but it is relevant to the conversation we're talking about. I don't do drama. You may have me confused with someone else. I'm not sure. In regards to RJ, listen, about this James Gunn universe, anybody who tells me that we're going to be not sitting here in a year from now wondering about who's going to be running Warner Brothers Discovery, who's going to be owning Warner Brothers Discovery, if any of these movies are going to do what the stockholders and the financiers need them to do, not what the fanboys. Fuck us. I told you guys, we don't push the needle like that. But the financiers, the people who put up the money, the people who orchestrated the deal from Warner Brothers to Warner Brothers Discovery, those are the people this has to be successful about. And as far as like them cultivating an IP on anything, I think Upper Warner Brothers, is about getting cash, about getting as much free cash, about getting as much revenue as possible, period. They are not using fanboy logic on that road. So you got to understand that the people you guys are talking about saying if and they 3 years ago was a bunch of different people. They are gone. So the likelihood that they who we're talking about now could follow the same fate as they who got chased is as high as anything right now, which is why, like I said, it's a banned topic simply because why am I getting excited about one movie that if it doesn't meet these goofy expectations, if it doesn't meet the stupid ass BVS expectations, and it's a great movie, right? You know, we have that whole just make a great movie bullshit. But it's a great movie, but it doesn't fill it doesn't fill the buckets of what the hedge fund owners want. Then we're back in the same thing again. You know, his 10-year plan is a 4-year plan with an option, a team option. So that's why I don't know who's going to be making the decision.
Well, and to your point, you're saying. To your point that you were saying there, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. This, I as far as like, you know, need to get out of debt, need to generate as much cash as they can as possible, and again, it ties into what I was saying about how Netflix is really cashing in on, you know, again, the zeitgeist, how much Zach captured the zeitgeist with his movie being released. I mean, yeah, I think that definitely plays into why they've, you know, licensed so many DC movies right now, you know, that are apparently doing very well on Netflix. Also, I mean, there was definitely monetary transaction with that. And then also, you know, down at CCXP, everybody I'm sure saw the barbecue video that Zach did, and it had the caption that said in Portuguese, it was Zack Snyder, O Mestre dos Cortez, which translates to Zack Snyder, the Master of Cuts. So it's like they know exactly what they're doing when they tap into all that. So
Netflix, here's the thing. It comes down to money. None of the stuff that we're talking about is going to matter to them. None of it. Our logic is not going to matter to them. What you think a company should do, what you think is competing, they don't give a fuck about that. Is there a transaction to be made that's beneficial for us right now? That's going to be the question. Not, well, you Snyder fans need to do this, or you DC, you guys need to do that. They're not going to give two shits about us. We're not even in the lobby of that conversation.
But still, though, I mean, look, if they were going to do something like that, you would think that talks would have already kind of been started on that. But here's the thing, is that Zack Snyder is already fully engulfed in his Rebel Moon universe. We know that there's going to be, actually part 1, then part 2 comes out next year, and they're going to film a part 3 as well, because it's going to be a trilogy at this point, with more spinoffs coming off of this, and then you got the whole Army universe. So, I mean, is it possible that Netflix can work a deal to get the Snyderverse of DC, you know, where they could finish the story? I mean, I guess it's possible, but the logistics of that doesn't make any sense in terms of like how you would divvy that up. But like you were saying, anything is possible. What I find annoying is that when you get these articles where they're literally taking the same information that was put out by THR and spinning it to fit like their narrative, so that a certain fan base reads it and goes, "Yeah, that's it. We did it. We did it." It's kind of like, okay, this is wrong because you're misleading people, and that's the part I don't like. I don't like people being misled.
If you're 18 years old and you're on the internet, I have no sympathy about you getting misled. I'm sorry.
Well, speaking of
you are a grown ass man or woman. You have enough common sense. If you got misled, then I mean, it's like the people who get scammed.
Well,
it happened to you. But...
Okay, so William, let me ask you. So when it comes to Sean Gunn, you know, being Maxwell Lord and also voicing multiple other characters, is that a problem? Do you see it as a problem?
No.
That, like, I don't either. It's kind of like, who gives a shit? As long as the content is good, that's what I care about. If he produces good content, then I'll be happy. If it's shitty content, then I'm going to rip it. Just like any one of us. If we're watching content that's got bad writing, bad acting, or, you know, I mean, we're going to point those things out. It's not like we're going to go into this thinking, oh, man, I don't care how good or bad it is. I'm just going to love it. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I don't think any of us would do that.
Even my favorite directors have made shit that I'm like, please, you know.
Remind me again, Sean Gunn, I believe, like, because I mean, obviously James Gunn, you know, has definitely working relationship with him and
It's
on
his
his previous. Well,
yeah, it's his brother. It's his brother.
Yeah, brothers. Yeah, but I know. But I mean, I'm talking specifically like in professional context. I mean, he's like the on-set like a guy who acts out like a Groot. I think he was in Guardians. Groot or Rocket, one of those guys.
I think he might have one of those. Obviously, he was in Guardians. His career in general, obviously, isn't as illustrious as James Gunn. I know that he had a recurring role in the show Gilmore Girls for a long time. But and then obviously he did the motion capture for Weasel. And he'll be doing more voice acting. But like I said, look, I think and Drug is right. He was Calendar Man, yes. But here's the thing too: is that to sit here and criticize and mock content that hasn't even been developed yet, it hasn't even been finished yet from James Gunn, I think it's just very sophomoric. And to say like, oh well, Superman Legacy is gonna flop, that's gonna flop, and James Gunn's gonna get fired. It's kind of like, why would you want that to happen? If that were to happen and they brought somebody else in, it's not going to be Zack Snyder. They're going to bring in somebody new altogether and just do another fucking reboot.
If that first, and I'm not rooting for James Gunn to fail. It doesn't increase my bank account one way or another. But now if you bring up, I already said that this whole thing has a 40% chance of success, which is high, which is really good for him because of a lot of
which is on the previous regimes.
Yeah. So, but as far as like these guys who are saying this stuff and these guys that are misled, I listen. Like I said, everybody who's on the screen right now, who's watching this, I hope everybody who's watching this show, it's a grown man. The best thing I can do is get guys like Brad, get guys like Nickatina, and get guys like on the screen, and we bounce off better things off of each other. But these guys that are being misled, they are not part of my day. They're not part of my, in either way, they're just not, they cannot be part of my reality. Like I said, these are grown people who have chosen this path. I got on here to basically add to the conversation a little bit, a little bit more meat to the bone. So we know that there's a segment of the fandom that's gone crazy, and we know that there's the anti people that have lost their minds too. And I've chosen, for the most part, and I've tried my best, is to kind of make those people non-existent, because there's nothing I can do about them. It's like I said, the old lady that lives next to me that answers the Nigerian prince and gives her social and her routing number. I can't do anything about her. She's out there. She should have known better. She got screwed. Sorry. Be better next time. But when it comes to like I said, I do think there's a realistic conversation to have about the prospects of the DCU that have nothing to do with fandom and have everything to do with credibility and faith of brand and time. Depending on what their financial situation is and what kind of conversation David Zaslav sat down these money people and said, did you give him the realistic that Superman Legacy might kick us right in the nuts? But if it's a great movie, gets great reviews, maybe gets nominated for some awards, I think this is where you guys need to be looking at, and not necessarily box office. If he made that conversation, I think we're going to be fine.
But we've already seen David Zaslav making comments out there saying that, hey, when he saw James Gunn, he's like, hey, this guy did Guardians of the Galaxy. This guy did this. Why isn't this guy running DC Studios? Like, this is the guy he wanted. He had all the faith in the world that this guy was going to deliver for the DC brand for WBD. It'd be one thing if he was like, hey, why isn't Zack Snyder here doing this? That's probably what a lot of us would have said.
What I'm saying, it's his bosses, because he does have bosses. He does have he has
shareholders. His shareholders are his bosses for the most part. I'm telling you right now, David Zaslav has not made the best decisions over the past year.
I don't think he's sticking around long term. I think
that's what I mean. If he goes, when he came, he bought his own people. He made his own changes. If he decides, you know what, I got 200, 300 million, I've done it. I've made the merger that can make another merger. I've done my thing. If he goes, now we're dealing with somebody else coming in and doing the same thing he did. So I'm not saying that Superman Legacy is going to fail. I think it has an uphill battle. But however, there are realistic, not the ones you're talking about where people are just rooting for it to fail, but there are realistic realities that could cause us to be in the same situation that we've endured, and it just comes down to money and time.
Well, speaking of,
we're talking about a movie that's going to be coming out in 2025. You know what I mean? So by the time we get to that, we would have at one point we were going to get Joker 2 and the Batman 2 before we got Superman Legacy, but I don't think that's going to happen now. But still, we got all of 2024 to go through before we even get to Superman Legacy. That's a lot of time for the general audience to sort of like reset themselves so that when Superman Legacy starts to do its marketing, they're going to get hyped to want to go see it, because they essentially have to rebrand DC and start over with Superman Legacy. I mean, everything's going to ride on the success of Superman Legacy. If it fails, I'm sorry, but it doesn't mean the end for James Gunn and Peter Safran and their DC universe, because one film is not going to dictate what's going to happen with this plan that they have in place, and the actors they have casted, and the directors and crew that they're hiring and casting. So it's like, by the time we get closer to Superman Legacy, we're going to know more about Batman the Brave and the Bold. We're going to know more about Lanterns. And so those projects are going to start going into production, especially as we move through next year. So the idea that, if Legacy fails, they're going to get rid of Gunn, it's not going to happen.
Here's the thing, though, and I'm just playing devil advocate here as far as I'm not rooting for it. One movie can't do that. I'm going to bring up a perfect example, probably a horrible one, The Mummy, because they had an entire universe set on that.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That movie taking the gas pipe did it. Now, here's the thing, though, but once again, it all depends on that.
And that had the star power of Tom Cruise in it.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Academy Award winners. You had a Russell Crowe in there, non-Zeus Russell Crowe.
That had Cora, that had Sophia Boutella as the Mummy.
Yeah, Sophia Boutella.
What you have to understand, though, there is as much as if you think that Superman Legacy is going to be successful, that's fine. But if that, to me, there's no data there other than wishful thinking. Can it do well? Yeah. But if somebody says, you know what, it may have issues. Now, if they just say, well, it's kind of suck, it's kind of flop, you need to get them off your screen. You just don't engage with those guys. But if they come up with legit reasons that, okay, here's where the market is for this right now, and here's where the trust is right now, here's where the branding is right now for these guys, and what are we, are they taking the necessary steps to ramp up to the point? Like I said, I think it's a huge mistake if on June we're starting to ramp up to the point where I say that branding should have started, yesterday, and not just for Superman Legacy, because I think in order for Superman Legacy to be successful, DC in general has to be on.
That's why you suggested having the Jim and Jim show, which I think that that actually wouldn't be a bad title. James Gunn and Jim Lee calls it Jim and Jim, DC Hour or something.
But make no mistake, the old ways of doing things will not work for this movie, no matter how good it is. You have to get people excited about DC, period, on every meeting. You have to open that door so everybody feels they can walk in. I think, listen, I like James Gunn's work, to be honest with you. I mean, the situation that brought him about sucks, but you know what? At some point, I'm going to sit down and watch the stuff. Now, on to RJ's question, as far as, oh my goodness.
I'm going to read. Well, I knew this one might fall more under the band topic, because this is more the rumor mill that was kind of circulating around today, but this is not something from the trades or that Gunn himself has said. So, which is something I probably should emphasize, because that is something he has said repeatedly. Unless that he said myself and Peter Safran were the best, the best source to trust in terms of like behind the scenes stuff. Safran, to my knowledge, is not on social media, so I guess that for him it would just be behind the scenes interviews.
I don't even think I want to hear from him. It needs to be James Gunn. But I actually brought up the wrong question as far as as far as the Sasha Kaya thing, I knew he was going to get his own girl because she probably doesn't fit with his story, and that's fine.
Exactly.
But the whole Master Lord thing made me. I was eating some soup to help my throat.
Oh, I saw your comments. Yeah, because in fact I'll pull up one of Spider-Man's here because he's going to be suggesting the same thing you are.
God, why? Now, see, here's the thing. I'm willing to give anything a chance, and who knows? But listen. I'm a Justice League traditionalist. Nothing makes me projectile vomit across large, lengthy spaces than JLI suck. Rest in peace, Keith Giffen. I love you. We did a whole show about what I think of your work, but you did some things in there that stick in my craw that I
don't think we're going to get the Justice League International, because just like when we did, in Black Adam, when they did the Justice Society, I mean, a lot of general audiences didn't know what the fuck that even was. And so I think that, you may not call it the JLI, but you're going to call it the Justice League. And it's going to comprise of a number of characters. And it's going to be an international team because it's a worldwide team. But then you're going to have teams like the Authority, which is not going to stand for, the same things that they stand for. But, I think that some of the images that he was presenting, you can't take it 100% true to heart.
Which gun? Yeah, he did share some comic book images today. That were
and that's the thing. I was looking at it and I thought that's cool, but I don't think he's gonna make the JLI. I mean, come on, no. I mean, that's too.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I'm hoping that I can't discount it. I mean, I can't.
But I was thinking about this myself a little bit today, especially when William put his vomit emoji up about it on Twitter today. And I've seen others like RJ and Spider-Man, other people. That's where a lot of the speculation seems to be kind of heading now, that he is kind of establishing, establishing JLI.
Look, he posted an image from Kingdom Come, right?
I hope we.
And it's kind of like, oh, he's doing Kingdom Come? He's doing No, he's not doing Kingdom Come. He's showing an image that he thinks is amazing, and it probably represents some of the inspiration for the stories that he's going to tell. I don't think we're going to do a JLI because, I mean, look, Justice League International, I'm sorry, the general audience is going to be like, what the fuck is going on? You have to have a Justice League.
Here's the problem. He casted Guy Gardner.
He did.
Yeah, and he cast Guy Gardner. He cast the guy who said he worked with Joss Whedon again too, as Guy Gardner in Heartbeat. I know. That just annoys me though. That just annoys me.
The fact that he may be, but like I said, I just like it. Keith Giffen. What I said, one of the greatest creators. I just passed recently, but he did two things. He got the momentum going on two things that I just, as a pure comic book collector, I cannot stand. One of them is, like I said, the carbon copy clown of Logan, complete with his cigar, and then his work on JLI, which I thought was a joke. I thought it made a good joke. So,
well, here's the thing though, because I was thinking about this JLI theory a little bit earlier today, and it did kind of
by the way, we're having fun with it. If he puts out JLI, it makes it great. I have a childhood.
Well, here's the thing: is that I don't think he's going to call it the JLI. I think it'll just be, the Justice League, right? And it'll have a bunch of different members of it, and they'll probably claim themselves as like, we are an international group that protects the world, something like that.
You think he's going to genericize it? You think it's going to be like a generic type of thing?
Well, here's the thing. I kind of think about that because what I was sort of thinking about earlier today is that, as far because that is a bit of an elephant in the room as far as the DCU is like, how are you going to tackle the Justice League, especially coming off of the Justice League movie and the circumstances surrounding it? And that did kind of get me to thinking, if he is doing JLI, theoretically, if that is what the plan is, does that maybe speak to the idea that within Warner Brothers and within DC, there is that the Justice League, as it's traditionally, as the roster of the team is traditionally understood, because of the circumstances of how the first movie came about, and all the history behind that, has that made it almost like a bit of a hot potato for them that they maybe think internally, we can't touch this if we're not using these characters, or if we're not using like Zach's versions of the characters, or Zach himself doing it. Are they that afraid of the backlash of it?
It could be, but at the same time, he might be looking at it from a different angle. What if, when we get to Superman Legacy, you see some of these other characters that are members of the Justice League, kind of like on Marvel, everyone's a fucking Avenger, where you have these members of the Justice League, but it could be that in the past, the original Justice League, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, all the original members, they were a team at one point, but now they're not so much of a team anymore. Now they're broken off into factions,
like Watchmen and the Minutemen.
Watchmen and the Minutemen,
or like the JSA.
Exactly, and I think that'd be really cool. Like, they kind of have some flashbacks, about when we were a team, we were really good. Well, things have changed now. Politics have gotten involved. The world's a different place now. Is he going to go that deep? I don't know. Probably not. But I think it'd be pretty cool. But that's what I'm thinking about, is what William said. Kind of like we got in Watchmen with the Minutemen. And I'm telling you right now, I watched Watchmen the other day, and that movie, in my opinion, is just absolutely fantastic from
My
start to
favorite.
finish.
My
It's
favorite.
such a complete film that is just like, God, it's so good. And so if they went with that approach, I think that'd be awesome. But
That would
only
be
time will tell.
That would be intriguing. But like I said, I know he posts images and stuff like that, and that's cool. Like I said, though, right now, to me, we're in the red zone as far as uh, getting um, getting people hyped, not just for your movie, because if you just get people hyped for your movie, that's a non-starter. You got to get people hyped about the culture that your movie exists in, so that they are ready to be fed whatever you're ready to go. So if you're gonna post that on there, I would be, like I said, I would be just doing a lot right now to build the infrastructure that is the brand, so that by the time when we start approaching these things, we're not dealing with people in the trenches, because we've gotten them out. We've shooken hands with them. We said, hey, how about this? What's this? And like I said, not just cryptic posts and stuff like that. I think
Right.
Other situations you wouldn't need to do that. In this situation, not just for us guys, us hardcore, the people who've drifted away, they've drifted so far away now, the sound of your voice is not reaching them. You got to get them to turn around and put down that other thing that they picked up in the last 5 years and be like, okay, wow, what's that? Okay, who's this guy talking? And on all levels. And like I said, I'm selfish and I'm biased, but you're making comic book movies about comic books characters. Have Jim Lee in a leather chair right next to you, and let's have a fireside chat every Wednesday, man. New comic book day. Hey, Jim, what's up?
I mean, the comment that RJ put out there, he says, I think Gunn did say that the DCU is jumping into an already established DC universe. Yes, you're going to get an already existing DC universe by the time Superman Legacy comes out. Now, you can't dedicate so much time to, developing that universe without taking you don't want to do that too much, because it'll take away from Superman's story within that movie, because he is the main character, and you got to develop his people around him as well. But it wouldn't surprise me if at this point in time within this DC universe at Superman Legacy, that the original Justice League at one time did exist in its original form, but now we're at a point where the Justice League is more of a Justice League International, where you have a bigger team that covers a wider range of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gone corporate, which I'm open to. Like I said, when I saw that picture when he posted, I'm like I said, I was eating something I really didn't want to lose, and I almost lost. It just brings back bad memories of me. Like I said, whenever the disaster that was Justice League International, it's like, oh my god.
Well, again, I think also that maybe, if this is what he's doing, that may be a workaround for the traditional Justice League roster as it's regarding the public zeitgeist, and as was presented in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is, if that is something they feel like they can't touch at this point in time because of all the drama and the baggage and the history around it.
No. But think about this, though. Think about this. If the original Justice League have, I don't want to say disbanded, but have kind of, some of them have disbanded, some of them are doing their own things. Batman is definitely dealing with his Bat family and all that. This could then build up to a Justice League movie where the original team comes back together with some of the new characters to take on whatever villain is being built up for that Justice League team up movie. And I think that'd be really cool, because imagine you have scenes with Batman where he's telling him, the Justice League isn't the same anymore. Or the world's a different place, or where you have like this kind of disconnect between the major legacy characters. And I think that could be really cool to see on screen.
Now, if he wanted to do an outright traditional justice, I don't think that he should run from anything just based on what previous management did. I understand what you're saying, Brad, and I understand that may be a concern, but to me, that's running scared. And when you run scared, you run into shit. I think if this is what, tell your story. There's the one thing I don't want James Gunn to do, is to think he can't tell his story because of restraints that we've been pretty much, we did that heavy lifting. We endured that. He shouldn't have to endure. If you want to tell a traditional story, and if his reasoning is that he wants to just bring you a different angle, then I'm all for it. But if they do anything because they don't want to avoid the radioactive mess from the previous, I don't think they should run scared. Do set out your vision. And I may not like it. See, right now, the thing about I'm at the same place I was prior to Man of Steel, before I saw trailers or anything. I wasn't sure that I was going to like Man of Steel. I didn't know if I was going to like the tone or anything like that. That's where I am with DCU. So it's really to the point where the tone is going to be important to me. But, I'm willing to let him go ahead and roll out his story without restraints. I think, once again, I'm going to Blue Beetle it till I know that there's water to jump into. Because, to be honest with you, on a personal basis, I don't want to get emotionally invested in the thing. And like I said, we have a very realistic situation to where we're talking about we're now talking about WBU now because it's been bought by somebody else, and a new guy comes in, and he's a comic book fan too, and he's got his ideas. You know what? So I'm going to wait until we get a couple levels into this, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to dip my toe in.
I love how William has turned Blue Beetle into a verb now.
Well, also in the JLI, he also had Ted Kord as Blue Beetle, and you had a lot of older characters. But Droga asks, why would the Justice League disband? I mean, a big one could be politics. That the team becomes so big that they're having to deal with events that are taking place internationally, and a lot more politics get involved. And maybe a character like Batman's like, hey, this is not something I want to do anymore. I'd rather focus my attention on Gotham City, on the villains that I have in front of me, and not deal with, not be so involved with the team that is constantly in communication with the president. You know what I mean? So there could be a lot of things that you could put in there.
The simplest one would be like, we did this for us. We did this because what fighting crime meant for us, what each of these circumstances meant for us. We don't take orders from these guys.
Exactly.
And so we went and found people that would take orders.
Exactly.
It's kind of so that's the simple. You know what? The more I think about this, it would be kind of cool. Like I said, I have to see how the tone is, because, like I said, I can't.
But
jail.
But just like you were saying, though, I mean, imagine that, right? And then the movie's called Superman Legacy because this is his legacy. He's the one who's stuck with the Justice League team, to this day, to this point. While and this also gives you an opportunity to not have Wonder Woman, not have, a Batman and some of these characters in Superman Legacy, because they're doing their own thing. And then as the story progresses in terms of like your chapter 1, then you start to be reintroduced to where Wonder Woman's at, where Batman is at, and what's going on with them, which is going to then build to a Justice League. And I've heard that like the Justice League movie that he's trying to build to is Justice League New Frontier. And if you watch New Frontier, a lot of them
it's one of the best animated movies they did.
Yeah, it's them coming together. So I think that could be something that could be really cool, because you can't have all of the, you can't have Wonder Woman, you can't have Batman, you can't have Hal Jordan, you can't have all these characters in Superman Legacy. But if you have a Justice League team that consists of Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and a bunch of other characters, to show that, hey, now the Justice League has evolved into a much different team than it was back when we started this. And I think that's a really cool angle that he could kind of approach, the DC universe. But like I said, we'll have to see how he actually does it.
Yeah, my only concern, because like I said, if he puts it out and I don't like it, it's really easy just to not watch. That's easy. I don't have to do a website about it. If it's not my tone, there's been plenty of stuff out there that other people enjoy, like the Deadpool movies. I'm not a big fan of Deadpool movies. I think they're stupid. But you know what? I don't rant. You guys love them. Congratulations, you love them. But my thing is, as far as like, I'm a universe guy, so I want to see that this is going to be followed through before I even come in the door. But
I mean, there's also a scoop out there that's being corroborated that basically Supergirl will appear in Superman Legacy, which to me makes sense, because I mean that's part of his house.
Yeah, that's literally part of his.
So that makes sense. But I mean, honestly, when James Gunn said that his inspiration for Supergirl was going to be Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, if you read that comic, or that whole series, after I read that, I was like, there's I was telling Ryan Zieberfeld, I was like, there is no way that I can see him sticking with Sasha Calle for this film. No. He's gonna need an entirely different actress to make that story be true to the original source material. it's not going to be Sasha Kaye. I mean, she probably may have been able to pull it off, but I think he's going to go for a blonde-haired, and I'm not trying to be racist, but I'm just saying he's going to go for a Supergirl that's closer to the source material. I'll put it that way.
Which is fine for me. Reading that story, and I think that is Tom King's best work. But like I said, I was telling Brad that what I would have done, rolling up with this is I would have before I even racist. Yeah, Andre doesn't like.
He just couldn't resist. He couldn't resist.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. But I would have done a Kingdom Come movie in the interim with all this stuff and giving you just one big bang out of this, and then use this to propel us into the DCU. I would have done it this way. I would have Black Adam being Magog instead of, because I wouldn't have had him in there because of where he was at in that story. I would have that Supergirl fighting that Shazam that got corrupted, because we're never going to get Mr. Mind, I guess. I don't know, but I would have used that.
Never going to get that.
I would have used a 2.5-hour movie to just basically, to put a stamp on this one, but at the same time use it as a springboard going forward.
Everything with Sasha Kaye.
One universe, of another.
When her Supergirl, it's just like, she's meant to line up with Henry Cavill's Superman anyway. So it's like, if there's any Superman I want to see her with, I want to see her with Henry Cavill. So,
and I hope we get a Kingdom movie at some point.
And going back to, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it just there was never a chance. I don't think there was ever a chance that Sasha Kaye was ever going to continue as Supergirl. The only way that she could have continued on as Supergirl is if the Flash made $900 to $1 billion. If it was a financial success and the popularity was through the roof, then he'd probably say, all right, let's just keep her on, or we can figure this out. But no, the way that movie went down, it's a one and done. See you later. I'm recasting that character. I'm doing my own thing, which is what anybody would do who'd be put in charge of DC Studios. They're going to do their own thing.
We're going to recast her anyway. That movie could have made $1.5 billion. And here's the problem with he's not going to be saddled with that, and I don't think it will be fair if David Zaslav, and I think it was, he made some sketchy decision making when how he brought Gunn in was, not that he brought Gunn in, because I think Gunn is tremendous, but how he handled this was poor. But I don't think, regardless to how much Flash would have made, I think if he's going to have a conversation and be like, you put me in charge, he gave him the reins, and I think that he was always going to pick a Supergirl that was going to fit his story, as he should. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with going on to a new story. I just have a problem with credibility, with trusting all involved with my time and money right now. I'm just not there right now. Like I said, I was telling Brad, I'm the fan. I'm still a fan, but I'm not the fan at ringside with the sign. I'm the fan that's watching that same event at home, with Ryan Remote in the comfort of my own home. And if you let me down, all I got to do is change the channel. Whereas we invested the time and the money, and because everybody puts their money down. Nobody really, most people, and they'll say it on the internet, but most people, especially general fans, want that dollar or that $15 they put down to mean more than just one movie. And I think the credibility of them being able to build something is going to take time. And I don't think that Superman Legacy is necessarily going to be a hit because of that brand trust. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad. But what you're going to have to understand is that they're going to have to take it in the nuts to tell people that we can start and finish something. We can start, continue, and finish. Because right now, the general fan doesn't have an example of anything that the studio has completed. They have a bunch of hodgepodge things that have fallen apart. And with all the competition for the dollar, it's real easy for an average fan who's not on YouTube to be like, you know what, this is cool, this looks cool, but I'm gonna this other thing that they're putting out somewhere else is really cool. I'll get back to that on Max. I'll get back to that on whatever streaming service it is, and it's gonna take some time for credibility.
Well, taking that a little bit back to Rebel Moon, as far as like completion and universe expansion and things like that, Aaron has a good comment here. Let's see a blood. Yeah, no, I think we're already getting the prequel comic. I think that's I wouldn't be surprised if that's already on the cards. Like a blood axe.
As long as he doesn't die.
Let me see the movie first, because we watch.
Yeah. Let me see the movie first before we start going into spin-offs. Because
so if it's Seven Samurai, not all the samurai about to the end. So you might want to,
killing off his characters.
Yeah, because if Blood has a heroic ending, there's no sequel.
I mean, look, like going back to Supergirl is the last thing I'm going to say about this is that I know we're trying to move on, but if you haven't read Woman of Tomorrow, read it. It's really good. It's a really good series, and like I want to say it was in the first issue that I was reading, I was like, I know exactly why James Gunn picked this series because it's right down his alley. Her personality, her attitude, her everything about her totally fits the kind of person that James Gunn is. And so I was like, okay, I get it. I get why he's doing this. And it's a cool story too.
Yeah, he puts her in an environment that does not necessarily depend on a lot of the things that a traditional Supergirl story would. And where she is in her journey is, yeah, she's got the red S on her chest, but that's part of the story. But so when they said he was going to do that, and then the whole Spartacus Blood and Sand Wonder Woman type deal, I'm all for it. I'm all for just about everything. The Brave and the Bold, I'm on the fence about, and Superman Legacy, I'll wait and see. But there's a lot of Green Lantern show, the True Detective. I'm on board. Yeah. But I'm like, as excited as I just got about that, I was excited about a whole bunch of other stuff, and I got left hanging. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna use this as our tool of exploration when it comes to the DCU. Because when it pops up on my screen, I'll be like, "Wow, this is great." Now, unless in the interim, there's like a huge amount of like drop and hype and everything else to where I'm mesmerized. But right now, with just bits and pieces coming out, I'm gonna give it a shot. But like I said, I am a universe guy. I am not a one-off guy. I know there's guys out there who are like that. I'm not a one-off guy. I'm a universe. When I step into your story, I plan to be there for quite a while. So
I think we're actually onto something here. I really do. I really feel like when it comes to Superman Legacy that we're probably gonna. I feel confident enough to say that I think we're gonna get a story that where he's gonna be a part of a much different Justice League team than we were expecting, and that the original team that we're used to has, for the most part, kind of gone their own direction. They're kind of doing their own thing, but they're still affiliated to some degree. And so that's going to take the audience kind of by shock. Like, oh, this is the Justice League. Where's Batman? Where's Wonder Woman? What's going on here? And then you're going to kind of learn that, this has been something that has been evolving over time. And I think that's really cool. But again, I'm channeling like Watchmen vibes, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do the same thing. Because, I mean, Watchmen did it so good, and I wish we can kind of get that. But and then, like, Woman of Tomorrow, like, that's a self-contained story. It doesn't connect to anything else in the DC universe. So that's another reason why I like it, because it's more of like of a sci-fi story with a superhero. So that's gonna be kind of the cool part about it. It's gonna be like Guardians of the Galaxy with Supergirl. And so I think that has an opportunity to be something really, really cool.
Cool.
Like she literally travels to a planet so far away that the sun isn't giving her super abilities anymore, because she just wants to be normal for a little while and get drunk. And then she ends up, getting involved with the other character in the whole story. So I think that's a really cool concept. That's not true.
It's not true.
That's not true.
You know what? And whoever he picks for Supergirl is I'm on board with it. Like I said, all these people that he's picked so far, I always give the tiebreaker to the actual person that's writing the story. So if he's the one with the vision, if he's got somebody in mind to play certain characters, then that's who it is. It's like I said, I'm not going to second guess the guy who's actually putting all this together in his skull. And fan casting,
not until I see a finished product, I'm not gonna pass judgment on the guy until I see a finished product for his new DCU. And you can argue that, like, oh well, he's already done Peacemaker. What are you talking about? But I actually enjoyed Peacemaker, so I guess for me at least, I thought that was really good. I actually enjoyed it. Although Suicide Squad, I was not a fan of.
I like Suicide Squad. I feel I'm the ex opposite. I like Peacemaker from episode 4 on. It took me a while to get into it, but Suicide Squad, I thoroughly enjoyed Suicide Squad.
I thought there were a lot of amazing shots and amazing scenes in Suicide Squad. They did some really cool things in that, but I just kind of felt like the story itself, it needed to exist in an already established, well-established DC universe. And instead, it just kind of felt like a story that was put out there, but the universe wasn't established enough to kind of sustain it. So it was kind of like a lot of loose ends that you're never going to get, wrapped up. Like Bloodsport shooting Superman with a kryptonite bullet.
That really speaks also to how bad the management was at the time, because Gunn had said he's like, we don't know like whether that's Cavill Superman or Hackland Superman, or like who exactly that is, that we were just vaguely referencing a Superman. And that just tells you about like how, just slapdash, they were just winging it the whole time under the Hamada regime.
Yeah, I think I think that hurt a lot of things. But
it was quite the mess under Walter Hamada. The fact that he couldn't even secure Henry Cavill to come back.
He didn't want to.
When he didn't even want to, which is crazy enough as it is, because he wanted to do his own thing. He wanted. I firmly believe that the reason why he wanted to push the Sasha Calle and Batgirl, Leslie Grace, is because those weren't characters that were connected to Zack Snyder. So let's create our own universe, a universe in which we don't have to pay him royalties for some of these characters because he didn't have to develop them. And I think a lot of it, again, comes back to the word legacy. This was Hamada's legacy for DC. And the funny thing about it is that when DeLuca and Abney stepped in, they even shut it down. They were like, "Yeah, we're not going to do that." And look, and I always thought that the reason why Batgirl was shelved was because they're changing the narrative. So instead of reshooting this whole fucking film, they said, "Well, we're not going to go with Keaton. We're not going to do this new universe coming out of the Flash. We're gonna do something different." And so that's why it was shelved. No, they literally shelved that movie for tax purposes all the way around, which is crazy enough as it is.
So, yeah, crazy to us, but man, when you're, like I said, when you have that much debt, and like I said before, it's just a transaction.
And then they tried to do it again, and they got called out, and they're like, "Oh fuck!"
But guess what? They're going to do that. They're going.
Yeah,
they don't. To be honest with you,
like a buyer for Acme.
But this is not going to be popular. But it's the right move for that. It's the right move for that. When you're in the situation they're in, and you're dealing with things that they don't perceive themselves as having a future in. I really don't think Warner Brothers is going to do a lot with that type of animation on their own. I think that it's going to end up with the same result as them writing that off, because the other, like we were talking the other day, who offered them half for it. I wouldn't take anything less than what I needed for it. If I can't get the full $70 million plus that the liability that we're leveraged, then I may as well use, because I get 100%. I take half of what the movie's worth, and when I can get 100% of the tax break, you only have a certain amount of time to use those tools, those tax breaks, when you merge a company that's in that much debt. So they have to be aggressive with it. So it sucks, but I completely understand. I thought it was the right move. And to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that they're going to have to chisel out was stuff that was greenlit in a failed regime.
Mm-hmm.
It just,
well, and that's the thing too. So it's like some people were like, "Oh, I can't believe Gunn just rebooted. That was weak." But when you look at what was there when he got there, it was such a diluted and confusing mess that he literally said, "I'm just gonna start over again with Superman Legacy."
Yeah,
and that's a tough thing to do. And not only that, but at the end of Peacemaker, he literally put what he could of the Justice League on the screen, which he didn't have to do that, but he tried to anyway. Yeah. And, it probably wasn't necessary because he couldn't get every character to actually appear. But here's the thing. I think that until James Gunn releases something from his new chapter, I'm not going to pass judgment on his work until I see the finished product. And until then...
But we can, as far as like the previous regime, we can definitely summarize their decision-making process as follows.
Yeah, but even with that, it's funny as shit that. I'm mentally letting those guys go. And another thing is, like I said, the more we get into what the entanglement that is Warner Brothers Discovery and what they may be, and what, like I said, they may not even be Warner Brothers Discovery in a few years. the less I want the universe up to a certain point even entangled with this. The stuff from the last 5 years was mostly trash. So from 2017 going forward, we have a bunch of disjointed things. And if that, like I said, I want that put aside. And if the opportunity ever comes, go for it. I want 12 issues in 5 different covers for each fucking issue, bookshelf format, glow in the dark covers, hologram covers. Give it to me 5 times 12. Give me a maxi series. Wrap that up. If you get it on the big screen, great. But give it to me. Give me a comic book movie in a comic book form. But as far as like everything else goes, like I said, what they should have done. They could have done, like I said, the Kingdom Come movie and just basically blown up everything, and that's the story. We're blowing this up to start this thing, and they could have used the whole Bowl thing. They could have. They were so disorganized. Listen, I'm not against James because we would have been done with Zach's stuff already. So eventually,
and that's so infuriating. That's why it's. Ironically enough, that's why it's still lingering. Is the knowledge that we would have been done already, and we'd
be in the same spot.
We'd be in the same spot just with the ending to the story.
People whining about a new Superman, and it would have been fine. But I think that's the problem there. But I can't indict James Gunn over that decision. I thought
you can't indict me apparently.
You can blame Brad. No, I'm excited to see what James Gunn is going to produce when it comes to the new DC universe. I want to see Lanterns, and what's funny is that, like, well, I shouldn't say what's funny. What's interesting is that, he says that Lanterns is going to be the first series that really dives into the greater story of the DC universe. So, does that mean the greater story in terms of
big secret or something like that? Some big secret that he says that's the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is that supposed to lead us or give us more hints that we're leading towards a Justice League New Frontier, or are we talking about something farther down the line? Because, I mean, if anyone's going to discover anything cosmic-wise that's going to lead to something much bigger down the line, it's going to be the Lanterns. So I'm going to, I'm looking forward to that. Especially if, like, can you imagine if the first episode of Lanterns is they find the body of Orion dead, just like at the beginning of Final Crisis? I would have been like, holy shit. But we're not going to do that story necessarily. But to have that be the first like crime that they have to uncover, that would be really interesting, and I think it could be really cool.
I like that approach that they're taking with the True Detective. When you mentioned True Detective, I like
that's what I was thinking of, and like imagine what them on the docks raining, and then you have a charred body sizzling of Orion, and they're like, what the hell is this? Like, how did he get here? And so then they kind of have to figure that out. And then, obviously it can go in a lot of different directions, but I just think that's something that's going to be really cool.
The only big thing as far as like, the potential for if he is going to be doing a Justice League New Frontier, the only big thing I would, kind of be interested, or the big change he would need to make is, I mean, the fact that that's a period story that takes place during the Cold War. So it's like, how would you update that for a modern setting?
Well, you can. I just think you remove it from that setting into a more modern setting, and you kind of go from there.
Cold War now. We're dealing with Russians and shit now.
Yeah.
So it's real easy.
And the enemy obviously is the Center, which could easily be the villain, because then it just gives you a reason to say, okay, look, everybody come together and fight that bad guy right there. You know what I mean? And so it just gives them an easier target to go take on, as opposed to it's going to be against Brainiac, or they're going to go against Darkseid. I think he's trying to establish a villain that allows the Justice League to reform into, with the original characters, to take on just a big bad. But I don't know. Well, I think the Center, to me, is not well known enough of a villain that you could run with. But we'll see.
You could, though, because you could shape the narrative of the first time that everybody's going to be able to see him. So I think a lot of times he takes unknown characters because he has license to it, because there's not a lot of comparisons to some of the characters he takes on. they're not the well known. He doesn't have to deal with some of the issues. Now that he's a studio head, there's no way around it. You're going to be dealing with you're going to be dealing with man babies no matter what, and that's fine. Yeah, it'll be my
there it is. Yeah,
but yeah, I'm all some of the stuff. Like I said, the more we talk, and this is what I mean. The same way we're on the screen right now, and I'm not saying James Gunn needs to spill the beans, but I right now, to me, is where the work starts in making Superman Legacy a success, and making not just Superman Legacy, because promoting right now, starting now, cannot be about that one movie. It has to be about an entire atmosphere that I cannot wait to jump into. And I think that they're missing the ball a little bit. I don't think you can promote this traditionally like you would anything else, and you start creeping up like you would because of the brand damage, and not just a brand damage a bunch of hardcore people, but like I said, that other guy has drifted away, and there's so many other things that have gotten his attention. We got to shoot up that flare and be like, turn around, come back. We got something for you. That's a 2-year process. So while you're making the movie, you need to be laying the groundwork for not just Superman Legacy, but everything that we talked about. You're not just stepping into a 2.5 hour, thing. We're not just, $14. That's great. We want your devotion to this. And I think that if they can get it, but I think they have to start now. And I don't think we can wait till 2025 to get excited about it. They have to get us excited. And not, like I said, about every level, everything that has that DC logo on it, we should be jumping through flaming hoops ready for it.
But until we get to Superman Legacy, we're going to be getting the conclusion of, the Elseworld story of Joker. You're going to get the sequel to The Batman. And of course, obviously, we're going to get Creature Commandos. We're going to get Waller, Peacemaker Season 2. So there is content that's still coming out.
Happen after Legacy, though. I don't think.
Yeah,
is it after Legacy? Then
and that's the one I'm very curious about, because he replied to, ironically, Phil of the Four Nerds, where Phil had asked how are you going to account for Season 1, Season 2 being in separate universes, and he says that will be addressed in Peacemaker Season 2, which, I mean, that does suggest to me like there may be some, he may already be laying the groundwork for some level of multiverse transverse, from between the two universes.
Take control of the narrative. Don't let the YouTubers and the Twitter head drive the narrative of DC. That's been the last 7-8 years. I would like to see somebody who's shaping the vision of DC actually be the one that we're like, wow, did he just say that? Wow, that's cool. Not just a picture. You sitting next to Jim Lee and us just talking comics, talking about this stuff, getting us involved in this universe, taking ownership of it, making it feel like it's something we own, that we're a part of. Because that's the one thing that the last regime did not do. Everybody pretty much got pushed outside, whether you were a hardcore Snyder bro or whatever. Oh, yeah. They made it feel like you were not, that you could never take ownership of anything that you were doing. Whereas,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, you reminded me of I forget who said this on the Vodka stream a couple months ago, but they were comparing like the rumor mill of Marvel to the rumor mill of DC. And I'm totally going to steal this. I'm forgetting who it was. One of the it might have been Travis, but the comparison was like, he said like Marvel, the rumor mill is like it's more controlled. It's more, the information comes out, when they want it to, how they want it to, what they want people to know. And then he said for DC, the last few years, the rumor mill has been more akin to this.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. That needs to change. That needs to change like yesterday. Like I said, and on all levels, a total global brand to where it's like wherever that logo is, you're in for a ride, and then you want to be in on that ride, and you feel like you're going to get on that roller coaster, and it's not going to stop in mid circle. So I think that's the thing that you need to be doing now. And you're a multimedia company. You're Warner Brothers. You're everything you need to do to get us involved in this right now. You don't have to tell us a story, but you need to get us excited about your universe. You could be building your universe before our very eyes right now, and then we step into it in July of 2025. I want to start having conversations that are, like I said, we keep saying we're gonna, and I put them on the ban list, but they come back to it. I want to start having.
My mind keeps going back to that idea that, we're getting a different Justice League than what we thought we were going to be getting, right? Because we're farther ahead, we're farther ahead in time from when they first started, right? And so think about this, right? You might have some flashbacks or interactions with the original members, such as Batman or Wonder Woman, or references to what they're doing now and why they're not.
It does sound very Watchmen-like.
It does, but then right. But then, at the same time, you're introduced to the Authority, which is a new team that does things the exact opposite of how Superman and the Justice League conduct their business. And of course, it's the team that's in the UK, right? So now you have a team that wants to handle things much differently than what you're used to as Superman and what your team represents. So how do you have that balance? You know, how do you keep the world in check in terms of like keeping things in balance and not having teams that are just going to go out there and rip people's heads off, right?
Now a lot of this is now what you just said. If you, I know you read it, but Kingdom Come, that's how a lot of that came about too. So I think that might be why he had Kingdom Come up there, which is cool. But that's what I mean. Get me excited about that, man. Get me excited.
Because I mean, if you have,
you know,
like if there truly is a sequel where it's Superman versus the Authority kind of story, I don't know if it's gonna be called that or not. Again, you're looking at something where it's like similar to Kingdom Come, where he's saying, if we don't keep these superpowered beings in check, they are capable of doing horrific and horrible things to the world.
Yeah, like how it ended.
Right. And then, I mean, look at the end, they were dropping a nuke on the battle that all the heroes were at, and he was going to go stop it himself. But instead, what happens? Shazam sacrifices himself to stop that, and that changed everything. I always had wondered, like, what if there was an alternate reality where they didn't stop that bomb from going off, and that bomb hit and just killed millions of people and a bunch of superpowered beings as well? What world would have transpired from that? But I think again, we're going to have to deal with the reality that there are teams like the Authority out there, which I think will be more in line of like, DC's version of the X-Men, where they're going to be more edgier, they're going to be more brutal, and Superman has to figure out, how do I work with them? How do I convince them that what they're doing is not the way, superpowered beings should conduct themselves? This is my legacy. The Justice League is my legacy. And how do I keep that legacy alive? And I think that's something that they could explore when it comes to Superman Legacy. But like I said, I don't know. But I think it sounds pretty cool, though.
Sounds like a lot of fun. On that note, I think we're going on about almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, I gotta get to bed.
And we did it so much on what is normally a banned topic, for that matter.
Listen, I say banned topic, but all I want to do is if we're going to discuss it, let's
discuss topic moratorium.
Well, yeah, within the parameters of how it is in context of what we're going into. And having if it's a transactional topic, which the whole Snappa thing, like I said months ago, that it's not like, come on, it's not likely. But I didn't like the fact that there were people being kicked around simply because they thought it would happen. But on the flip side, on that, they weren't using the transactional thought pattern either. Nobody was talking in the Zaslovian language, which right now is billions of dollars that he's looking for. He's looking for under seat covers and everything else for $3 billion a year or whatever he thinks he get. I don't know how they're going to do it. I think he's going to get bought out. I actually think that they might end up merging or purchasing someone else and then changing the power structure because of that's a lot of money to wait. But that's the kind of conversation we would have that. But here we just had a conversation about a banned topic, but that led us in the exploration of it in a way that we weren't screaming at each other. We weren't,
no, not at all.
It's on fact,
my fourth comment where he says, unfortunately, I don't think audiences will identify with the Justice League's methods. They would rather the methods of the boys. And I think that a team like the Authority represents the methods of the boys. And so imagine if, they handle a situation where a ton of people die and there's all this destruction. And then Superman has to fly over there and he's like, what have you done? Like, this is not how we conduct ourselves. And they're like, we're not the Justice League. We're the Authority, And so he has to kind of figure out, like, what do I do? Do I just kill all of them or do I work with them? How do I balance this? And so on top of that, you're going to have whatever the villain's going to be,
In Kingdom Come, he walks away. He's
he walks away.
And he walks away, and that also had horrific consequences as well.
It did, because they didn't have that leader. They didn't have that inspiration to guide them. They were just off on their own doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do.
Everybody go read Kingdom Come if you have it. It's an awesome graphic novel.
But I think we're looking at a story that is going to take inspiration from these other stories, and so we could get a lot of callbacks to Kingdom Come and these other stories. So I think the idea that at least we're playing with, I think, could be really, really interesting to see play on the big screen. But of course, you have to have a villain. You have to have a big bad. It cannot just be a
societal issue.
Yeah, it's just not going to work out very well. Everyone's going to get bored. Like, oh, what? So I think you'll have the societal issues, but at the same time, it's like, how do we stop the villain that is, attacking us or doing something that we have to stop? So that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm ready for this story. And that other story that we're always talking about, 12 issues, 32 pages each. $4.95 bookshelf format.
Yeah, which again, William also admittedly has some mercenary reasons for being ready for it in that format, but
it'll sell, and then you do variants, you do second printings. There are second printings now that are worth more than some of the first printings because it's not a traditional second printing anymore. It's a limited version cover CB. Dude, your second printings have variant covers on top of that. Oh man, what you could do, because it's become the like the jockalopes, is that you wouldn't just have nerds like me buying it. You'd have that middle ground guy buying it too. And like I said, I don't care where you tell me the story. I don't care if it's sock puppets. I don't care if it's claymation. I don't care if it's a sketch. I just want the end of the story. But they're comic book characters. So while you're doing this thing with James Gunn, I will approach with caution. But it sounds great. Just give me that other thing in a comic book, And then wherever it goes, if we're in our 60s and 70s and somebody says, wow, remember that comic book that they put out that sold a crap ton? Why don't we do something with that? Then let that happen. We don't need to force anything anymore, is my point. We don't need to force anything. We don't need to force James Gunn's success. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We don't need to force, although I think it's credibility issues involved, we don't need to force the resolution of that story. I think eventually things will fall where they fall. And I'm just basically sitting, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm a passenger at this point. Now, I could decide to get out of the vehicle if I don't like the tone of what's coming. But that's going to be the same for any movie that's coming out. It's just that this one's 19 months away. And it's just, like I said, I want them to make this 19 months memorable as a overall DC experience leading into this. Not just a traditional, in 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, we get trailers and all that. No, I need to be, in order for them to be successful, whatever they're doing, I think people need to be excited about the brand DC before Superman Legacy is even done or started filming, to be honest. That's where I'm at with it.
In the meantime, we got another big thing we're waiting for. It's 13 days away. So we are definitely readying ourselves for that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
That we're 13 days away from Rebel Moon. I remember when all we had was just crazy set photos from drones in the air, and now we're 13 days away from seeing this film, and I can't wait, man. It's gonna be really good.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. I can't wait for it.
We're going to be kicking it off, or we've already kicked it off. Our experience with our charity going on. The link is pinned to the chat. Like I said, if you guys cannot contribute, I understand. Time, just trust me. But like I said, if you're on the internet, it's free to share the link. It's free to get other people involved. You never know where you may not be able to do something. Your buddy, your grandma, your aunt, whoever, your friend, say they may have been affected by the cause. They may have had an issue that you don't know about. That will compel them to help us raise funds and get to that ultimate goal. So it doesn't hurt to share. I know a lot of you guys have been retweeting and sharing. I appreciate everything on behalf of everybody who's contributed. We are very grateful for what you've done, and it'd be great to reach that, because I think this is the kind of thing that reminds people of the camaraderie that has come from this community. That the Snyder Cut, you can call us anything, you can call us bots, bros, and all that, but the one thing you can add on that is fundraisers. because that's what we're doing. We're raising funds, and that's undisputed. No matter what you think of the movie, the people, these numbers are undisputed. Where that money's going, there's no contest there. So continue to help if you can. Continue to share if you can. And on that note, I usually do the 988 thing, but I think this covers it because there's 988 right there in the lower left. Well, your funding helps that. Your funding helps develop that. The way 988 even came about was through the research, through the concept research that they're able to get through donations. That's how these things, the infrastructure for 988, the programming, all that got built through donations. So there you go. All right, Andre, where can they find you?
You can find me at my channel on YouTube called Nickatina. I just posted a new video. I'm going to put the link for it in your chat, William. I just did a new video on all the Deadpool leaks that were just out there and talking about how it kind of connects to the overall storyline for the MCU. I have another video I'm going to be working on. It was going to be tonight, but after this, I'm going to go to bed. But I'm going to do another video that I'll be dropping tomorrow night into Sunday, which will be about all the casting news, and I'm gonna kind of dive into the idea that we talked about tonight about Superman and the Authority. I think that you're gonna get the beginnings of Superman forming the Authority in this film, and then it's gonna mature itself into the movie The Authority, where he has to kind of like, oh wait a minute, maybe they've gone too far. I don't know. So I'm going to do a video about all the casting news and a little bit of that. That'll be coming out tomorrow. And of course, you guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Nickatina_show, also on Instagram and on Vero as well. But like I said, I put the link in the chat. Check out my new video. I really appreciate it. And yeah, like always, man, this is a lot of fun.
I'm putting your Twitter link in the.
And he also, the For Nerds, for anybody who hasn't seen, he last year, of course, they produced a motion comic following Zach's intended story for Justice League 2 and 3, which as of right now is
almost a year ago. Almost a year ago.
As of right now, it's just about the closest thing we currently have to seeing that story realized. So I mean, obviously, we would love to see it. The man himself get to put that out in the most whatever form he can. But again, if you haven't seen that, give that a look because it's a hell of a watch. Really does the story justice, I think.
Yeah, that's how I spent Christmas Eve last year.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that. I really do. We put a lot of work into that too, and there was actually more shots that we had planned on doing, but we had to get it out by then. So it worked out really good. But yeah,
release the Nickatina cut then.
You should hear it with Ray Porter's narration. Ooh.
Oh yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter and Vero, and find me somewhat on here and there on Facebook. Of course, you can find my writing on Kung Fu Kingdom and on Screen Rant. Of course, you can find me here on the Sci-Fi Center, and of course, we'll be doing all kinds of just getting the word out more on our upcoming Rebel Moon charity event watch party. And of course, I have as of the last night's stream, I have made William I officially put the Raid movies on William's radar. So I guess this might become my drop until he has actually seen them.
That's a trailer. That's what they showed you and your family while you were going to see the movie. They showed you that to get you to come to the movie.
I showed that part of my mom. She's like, it freaked her out. She can't handle blood and guts at all. So
you can find it in the Sci-Fi Center. All right, guys. Well, I will see you later on throughout the day, probably 2 or 3 times for several different events, and then we'll cap it off with our Sci-Fi Center Saturday night overnight live. I do not have the topics yet, but I got a pretty good idea how I want the show to wrap up. All right, and until then, try like I said, try to have whatever you guys are talking about. Try to have a decent conversation.